Listen carefully. What I'm about to say is not designed to make you comfortable. It's designed to make you pause, because real history doesn't shout. It whispers and waits for the right ears. Thank you for subscribing and your support. When people hear the name Ethiopia, today they think of a country on a map, borders, politics, modern headlines, but Ethiopia is older than maps, older than borders, older than the systems that taught us how to think about God. And that's where the fear begins. Because long before religion became an institution, before belief was organized, regulated, and approved, Ethiopia, what the ancient world called Ethiopia, what we will call Ethiopia, Utopia, already existed as a place of memory. Not power, memory. The ancient Greeks wrote about it, the Romans wrote about it, but they never understood it. Herodotus spoke of Ethiopia as ancient even in his time. Strabo described it as distant, ordered, and resistant to absorption. Pliny the Elder admitted it could be described, but not possessed. That should tell you something. Rome conquered through force, yes, but more importantly, Rome conquered through control. Control of language, control of records, control of archives, control of what could be remembered. Rome burned libraries. Rome rewrote histories. Rome decided which texts survived and which disappeared. Whole civilizations lost their past that way, but Ethiopia did not, and Rome knew it. This is why Rome never fully invaded Ethiopia. Not because Rome was weak, Rome was ruthless, but because Ethiopia did not offer what Rome needed.
We come in peace, but our resolve is firm. Your words are noted. State your terms clearly.
Ethiopia controlled trade routes Rome depended on, the Red Sea, the Indian Ocean, connections between Africa, Arabia, Persia, and India. This is written in the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea. This is recorded in Roman trade accounts. Rome traded with Ethiopia, Rome negotiated, Rome calculated, and Rome stayed out.
Can we see the books you preserved? It will cost you so much, and that is our inheritance?
But here is the part that history books rush past. Ethiopia did something that empires cannot tolerate. It made itself unreadable. Ethiopian scribes translated their sacred and historical texts into Ge'ez, not Greek, not Latin, not the languages of empire. This was not poetic. It was strategic. Even if Rome had conquered Ethiopia militarily, the conqueror would still stand helpless before the texts. The words would be there, but the meaning would be locked.
I can't read this, but I have already paid for this. That is your problem, not mine.
That is how you protect truth. And this is why some texts survive in Ethiopia that vanished everywhere else. The Book of Enoch, Jubilees, ancient prophetic writings that never passed through Roman approval. While libraries burned elsewhere, Ethiopia stored its memory quietly. Now pause here, because this is where the story turns dark. Rome eventually realized that destroying belief did not work. Executing followers did not stop faith. Suppressing movements only strengthened them. So Rome did something far more dangerous. Rome colonized God. Under Constantine, belief was absorbed into power. Councils were formed. Texts were selected.
Any book exposing us and not supporting us should be destroyed.
Others were rejected, labeled dangerous, and erased.
We will tell the Christians that God destroyed the books for their good and they cannot ask why.
God was no longer encountered. God was managed. Faith became obedience. Scripture became policy. Religion became administration. And most of the world accepted this rewrite, but Ethiopia did not.
We will never accept Rome and their policy. We preserve the blueprint of the prophets.
Ethiopia did not practice faith as institution. Ethiopia practiced pattern, the blueprint of the prophets, not hierarchy, not empire, not control. And this refusal had consequences. Over time, corruption spread, not always through invasion, but through agreement, through alliances, through leaders willing to trade memory for power. Some regions broke away. Some records vanished, some traditions dissolved. This is why Ethiopia appears smaller today, not because it was defeated, but because it refused to become what others became.
The world can be colonized, but we practice what the prophet said, and our script must be followed forever.
And you can still see the evidence. A different calendar, different continuity, different rhythm of time itself. Ask yourself why. Because when a civilization keeps time differently from the rest of the world, it means it did not accept the same rewrite. So when people say, and they whisper this because it makes institutions uneasy, when people say God migrated to Ethiopia, they don't mean God walked across land. They mean this: presence follows alignment. Authority follows integrity. When God was turned into a tool of empire elsewhere, the pattern survived where it was, not owned. God was not centralized, God was preserved, and that should disturb you, because it means truth does not always survive where power is loudest. Sometimes it survives where people refused edits, refused ownership, refused to let conscience be colonized. Ethiopia did not preserve religion. Ethiopia preserved blueprints. And that is why this knowledge was never meant for everyone. Because once you see how history was filtered, you start asking what else was removed. This channel exists because some civilizations did not agree to forget. This is unauthorized knowledge, and this is only the beginning.